there's a lot of different things that could lead to a senior falling. And a lot of people just think that it's just bad balance, Oh, it's a senior, I'm getting older, and their balance gets bad, That's just what happens. And although that is one thing that does happen, there are some other things that happen as well in addition to poor balance. But by far, one of the most common reasons for falls in seniors is just straight up inactivity. Now, the way I like to describe this is that balance is something that needs to be practiced. Balance is a skill just like anything else in our daily life. And if you aren't challenging yourself, if you aren't constantly pushing yourself, guess what? The balance that used to exist because you probably were challenging yourself at some point through your life, maybe this was through a sport or a just difficult physical activity. Maybe you used to like going out for really long hikes all the time. That kind of decreases as a lot of individuals age. And because of this, you are basically not practicing the skill of just doing hard activities. Those difficult and hard activities are where you challenge your body, you improve your balance, and hence get the ability to do all those things. And a lot of individuals, when they retire especially, get to that age, maybe they've put in a lot of good years at work, and obviously most people do, but once you hit retirement, you're just a little more sedentary and you don't do quite as much physical activity. And that may seem great, you're resting your body. Your body still needs to be challenged to some degree, otherwise you are a very, very large fall risk. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention too is that there's this idea that older adults and seniors shouldn't push and challenge themselves, and I don't know if this is from doctors, thinking that people who are older are just more fragile, but just because you're older doesn't mean you should not push yourself and challenge yourself in the gym, doesn't mean you shouldn't do some sports or things that maybe have you moving quicker and just challenge your body a little bit more. We should all be doing those things just in our constraints. Obviously, if you have a lot of knee pain, I'm not going to tell you to go squat 1,000,000 pounds, but maybe joining a recreational pickleball league or trying to join a golfing league or a bowling league or something that's challenging you is super, super crucial, not just for your physical attributes, but your mental health as well. Kind of a side note there. Another big reason that seniors fall, and a common reason for falls in seniors, is the vision and hearing aspect. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but what's called your vestibular senses is essentially all of the different senses with your hearing and your vision. And those are kind of in tandem. And as one gets older, their vision usually goes down a little bit and their hearing goes down a little bit. And what people don't realize is that when this happens, your balance is actually perturbed quite a bit. And this is simply because your body takes visual cues and your body takes audio cues to help notice the surroundings around you. So if you can't do that properly, and if you can't kind of keep the aspects of everything around you properly, guess what? It's a much harder time for you to balance, simply because, again, that vestibular sense system, that's exactly what it does. That's exactly what it does. So just some things to consider if you do have poor vision. I have poor vision, and I know myself, my hearing's not the best either. So these are things that I need to consider once I become older. But especially if you are older right now, you need to check up your glasses, you need to check up your hearing, because that really could increase your overall fall risk. And then, of course, environment. This is such a really, really crucial one. If you are living in an environment where there is lots of trip hazards, where let's say you go down and look at your home and there's a bunch of clutter on the ground, or maybe you have a bunch of different rugs on the ground, maybe you're in kind of not the most accessible of apartment complexes where you have to go up a huge flight of stairs or go up a really large curb, or maybe there's no hand railings. Trip hazards and things like that everywhere is a super, super common reason that seniors will fall in their daily lives. Weather conditions, of course. I'm lucky enough to be blessed to live in Iowa, so we get the good old snowfall, and if we're really lucky, we get some good old ice fall every winter. And this leads to a lot of falls in seniors that I work with and know. And a lot of this is usually because they're kind of rushing from their activities day to day. So if they, don't have time to think, oh, I need to take extra time to go ice my sidewalk, and then they go out and, wipe out on the sidewalk, that's of course a huge fall risk. And besides that too, also just even rain, anything where it's just a little bit slicker, the conditions aren't the best, you might not be able to see as well too in some certain weather conditions. And as we just described, this can be a huge reason that your fall risk might increase. Lack of assistive devices too. If you are somebody who's maybe lower income or know somebody who's lower income, they may not be able to get the best walker or the best cane or the best railings to have along their home to kind of help them in their overall daily activities. So that's just kind of a huge thing to consider for yourself as well. And one of the other big things here, and there's a lot of things that could lead to fall risk, but medications, I know a lot of individuals that I work with are taking some medications that make them dizzy, make them fatigued, and both of these of course can lead to a kind of decreased sense of perception, which can of course lead to an increased fall risk. So a lot of different things there, and the thing about all of these fall risks is that they usually culminate on top of each other. So it's not just one, it's not just two, it's usually a lot of these things kind of all lumped together, which is usually why a lot of seniors and older adults are at a really increased risk of fall risk. It's not just one of these things, it's a lot of things together. So just some things to consider. We're trying to minimize as much as we can in our daily lives, and these are a few different things to consider. So go ahead and give this video a like,